Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Burn KC ScorchCast. I am your host, Alex Blackburn. Finally, we're releasing one of these on a Sunday. Who would have thought? Not me. But yeah, finally releasing one of these as scheduled. Thank you very much for your patience these past couple of weeks with these ScorchCasts. They do take a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, but all of it's worth it to get the good news out to you. So, got a decent sized show today. Obviously, going to be talking about some transfer portal news, some SKC news, some Kansas City Current news, and some Royals news. Sorry in advance. Some Chiefs news, and then a little bit of Blues news for you. I know we haven't done the Scorching Takes segment in a hot sec. That will probably be done this week, though, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, I'm gonna try and get Spotify and SoundCloud finally figured out this week as well. Kind of have a busy week this week too, with classes, and then of course there's a little thing called the NFL draft coming to town. Got a friend's wedding, so I will do what I can to figure that out, though, over the week that we have. But let's just get started. Let's just jump right into it. Let's have a great show, and thank you for tuning in and listening. Let's get it done. All right, first things first, some transfer portal news. We'll start with KU. They had probably the most transfer portal stuff over the past week. A certain Timberlake, not Justin, committed to KU, a Towson standout named Nick Timberlake, who was a sharpshooter. He definitely had some good years at Towson in the I forget what conference they are. It's like I don't know. It's something American Athletic. It's not the American, but it's one of. Is it the Patriot League? I can't remember. It has American in it, or like Collegiate American Athletics or something like that. It's like CAA. I can't remember for the life of me, but Towson's out in the Northeast. There's so many conferences out there. It's not even funny. But he is a sharpshooter. He can drive the lane really well. He will bring a lot of dynamic offense to the KU team that right now does not have a whole lot of dynamic offense on their team. So this is a big get for KU. There will be more, I'm sure. There's quite a few people that KU is looking at right now. Unfortunately, one of them, Harrison Ingram, did commit to North Carolina, so he's off the board. But there are plenty of others to choose from, and it's still early. This is the first big get out of hopefully 3 or 4 that KU can end up picking up, because that's honestly what they need. It's just 3 or 4 really good transfers, and they got one, so 2 or 3 more to go. One of those transfers might be the number 1 transfer in all of college basketball for the year of our Lord 2023, and that's Hunter Dickinson. Dickinson did take a visit this past week to Lawrence, Kansas to go see what KU was all about. He, I think, left on a good note. We'll just have to see. I haven't heard anything from Mike Vernon. I haven't heard anything from any of the other KU pundits that know a little bit more than I do. I haven't heard anything on that front. As far as I know, the visit went well, and KU definitely increased their crystal ball chances. I know Cristobal was towards Villanova, but with the Nick Timberlake pickup, it it proceeded to change over to KU. Um, so that's a big breaking news there. Not really breaking, but um, just a little thing to note for KU. Hunter Dickinson would be a huge asset. Bill Self obviously has not had a marquee big since really Udoka as a bouquet. Yeah, David McCormick was a great player. I wouldn't say he's right up there with Udoka as a bouquet. I would say Hunter Dickinson absolutely is. He's got scoring ability. He's got great post defense. He's a great team player and really take charge for this KU team, and kind of take some of the weight off of DeJuan Harris's shoulders to lead this team. Because right now it's DeJuan Harris being the team leader, in my opinion, right now for KU. Like I said earlier, Harrison Ingram is off the table. I believe Terry Cleveland is off the table as well. KU was kind of looking at him. Um, I think they added Raekwon Battle to their list of potential transfers, and then a couple others uh, that I'm sure they'll look at. Primo Spears is one. I know. I don't think he's a very good fit for KU, though. He's a 40-30 shooter and just doesn't really have that spark that, you know, a Bill Self point guard, or excuse me, a Bill Self guard would have. And overall, I don't like his chances of playing. The guy that I like most outside of Hunter Dickinson is Arterio Morris, former McDonald's All American, played at Texas for a little bit before deciding to transfer. I think he's a great fit. I think he's a Bill Self type guard, and I think he will be able to get some good minutes in with how young and how how thin the KU backcourt is right now. So expect Morris and expect Dickinson to be very much in the news for KU over the next couple of days. As for Kansas State, Max Abmas is crystal balled to them right now. It's a battle between them and Texas for Abmas. Abmas would be a huge, huge get. He propelled Oral Roberts to a really, really good a couple of really, really good basketball years. One of those being an upset in the 2022 NCAA tournament. I forget who they beat exactly. I think it was against State, maybe. I can't remember for the life of me. But they played really well. Expect Max Obmus to be a hot commodity. But right now it's looking like it's either K State or Texas. So that'd be a big get. That would be a Marquise Noel replacement for sure for Kansas State. And I believe Max Abmas might have some ties to Jerome Tang, if I heard right. So kind of be on the lookout for that. They did pick up, this is non transfer portal news. They did pick up David Castillo for the 2024 class. He was a McDonald's All American. He's in the junior top 350 for the class of 2024. So he'll be good next year. And it's a pickup over KU too, because KU was really recruiting that kid as well. K State lands their first 5 star in quite a few years, so that's a big get for them. As far as the discourse regarding Tang over Self as far as recruiting goes, I think that is incredibly far fetched thing to say. And yeah, I know I'm a KU fan. I know I'm a KU alum. Blah blah blah. I'm wearing a shirt from them right now. But it's just simply not true. Ask any person that knows a lick about basketball, and you'll see that it's not true. So I like Jerome Tang. He absolutely deserved Coach of the Year. He's not better than Bill Self though, on a recruiting standpoint, on a coaching standpoint, on really any standpoint. He's a second year coach compared to a guy that's in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. So it's just not it's not it's not an argument. So just wanted to clear the air there in case my article from this past week did not. I know that there was some confusing language in there. I had a couple people on Reddit tell me that, well, it kind of sounds like you think Castillo's a 2023 player. He's not. I know that. And I might go change some wording in that article to make sure that it's not worded it's worded clearly enough. So, um, anyway, on to Mizzou. Mizzou is in the news because they've lost a couple guys, unfortunately. Because I mean, they had a lot of seniors this year. They had a lot of guys that were declared for the draft this year. Oh, excuse me. Um, but they really, I mean, outside of Tamar Bates, who we talked about last week, they really haven't done much on the transfer portal recruiting trail. Um, they got Tamar Bates. That's it. Caleb Brown, though, just announced that he was going to be transferring out. That could be a pretty good pickup for someone that's looking to get a high scoring guy that can make a difference on their team. He's a great guard. He plays really, really well. And I fully expect him to land with the team somewhere, potentially in the Power Five. So I like his chances of getting picked up somewhere nice. And then Kobe Brown declared for the NBA draft. He is still maintaining his year of eligibility, though, so there is a possibility he comes back. Uh, as of right now, I don't think he's a lottery pick by any stretch of the imagination, so I think it would benefit him to come back because I think he has that potential. He's a great player and was a very key piece of this Missouri team last year that made it to the championship, or excuse me, that made it to the NCAA tournament, and like really a catalyst for why Mizzou did so well this past year. They did pick up Caleb. Oh, wait. They actually did pick up someone. I completely missed this. My apologies. They picked up Iowa State transfer Caleb Grill. Um, this is the guy that got kicked off the Iowa State team for, I think it was an attitude problem. It was something outside the realm of basketball. I don't think it was ever specified what exactly it was. But that would be a concern if I were Dennis Gates in this Mizzou program. I like the pickup. I think he's a great shooter. I think he's got the ability to be a marquee player. But it's those off the court things that we've been hearing that I would really look out for in terms of Caleb Grill. But they did end up picking someone up, and it's if he can stay out of trouble, yeah, he's a great player. So and a guy that really beat up on KU last year too. So that might also be a reason why they picked him up. Who knows? But that was their pickup of the week. Um, and if you're Missouri, you're hoping for more, especially now that Caleb Brown's gone and that Kobe Brown potentially could be gone as well. So um, definitely be on the lookout for more Mizzou action in the coming weeks. So. Okay, let's talk about Sporting Kansas City. Um, there's not a whole lot to talk about, honestly. Nothing much has changed over the past couple of weeks. I mean, they still can't find offense. And that's the main reason they're losing. They've scored 3 goals this entire season, which is absolutely inexcusable. I mean, we're 1 month into this MLS season, and nothing's happened for Sporting Kansas City. They can't win. They can't score. Their defense is okay, I guess. They maintain possession, just nobody can score. They can't capitalize on these offensive possessions that they're being gift wrapped, and that's a huge problem. Um, and the main question here for Sporting Kansas City is Peter Vermees' job in jeopardy? Is he on the hot seat? I wouldn't like to think so. I don't think this is necessarily his fault. I think he's got a lot of guys with a lot of potential that's just completely untapped, really, due to effort concerns, due to maybe just not fitting in the right system, um, just overall team chemistry. I really don't know what to point out. Um, but me knowing Peter Vermees and how good of a coach he is, I really don't think this is his fault entirely. I think there's a lot of people that do blame him a lot for what's gone on this season and really last season too. But I mean, you're without a win a month into this season. People are going to want to find someone to blame, and people, including the owners of this team and the general management. And Peter Vermees, being the head coach, is the scapegoat number one when it comes to when a team is doing poor, especially after you get rid of guys like Ben Sweat and the guys that you labeled low effort players that didn't contribute, um, and you still stink. I mean, again, I want to play advocate for Peter Vermees as much as I can. I mean, Peter Vermees brought a championship to this Sporting Kansas City franchise. I mean, he's brought a championship. He's brought a couple U.S. Open Cups, and overall has just been a fantastic asset for this club. It's just he doesn't have the roster to do work. Um, I don't want to say like, well, maybe he was a fraud this whole time because I mean, you look at last year's rosters. I mean, we still have guys from that 2013 Cup run that are on this team: Grand Zusi, Johnny Russell, etc. And loyalty is one thing, but at the same time, you got to look at how like teams like the Chiefs operate. These great organizations that have a tradition of winning, and it's not keeping these star guys around. Well, let me rephrase that. It's keeping a couple of them around, but in the end, you have to capitalize on trade value. I mean, you have to. And what has been done with this Sporting Kansas City team is trade value hasn't been capitalized on. They're losing out in bidding when it comes to bidding for marquee players. And obviously, given the sports culture of today, there was no way they were going to outbid the Saudis for Ronaldo. I mean that just wasn't empirically possible. But I'm talking, Ibra. I'm talking all these older MLS guys that are coming over and playing in the United States. Sporting Kansas City could absolutely pick one of those guys up. The issue is they're overpaying guys that are aging and that their best soccer years are behind them. Nothing against Graham Zusi, nothing against Johnny Russell. They're still out there making plays and they're doing their best. And they are Kansas City staples until the day that they die, and then some. But you, in professional sports, you have to find a time to say goodbye to guys that no longer offer any potential. They've hit their ceiling. And for guys like Johnny Russell and Graham Zusi, they've hit their ceiling. And yeah, there's a lot of young guys on this team that do kind of show off that entitled attitude, that do kind of, put in that minimal amount of effort, but you have to you have to capitalize on the trade value while you still can with these with these guys. I mean, it's a similar situation that the Royals are in, which we'll talk about them later, huh? But eventually you have to understand that the trade value of your star players is more valuable than the star players themselves. And it's a sad fact, but it's a true fact. And you just have to live with it. So, am I saying, trade Graham Zusi and Johnny Russell over firing Peter Vermees? Well, maybe, yeah. Maybe do both. At this point, you are a month into this season without a win. That's inexcusable in the MLS. In the MLS, I mean, you don't have a team at top form. You've got stars that are dwindling. You've got a coach that yeah, led you to championships, led you to glory in years past. That is getting frustrated, is getting flustered, that doesn't have the guys that he needs and doesn't have the resources to succeed. Or, maybe he does and he's just misusing them. And, in terms of talking about Peter Vermees, I highly doubt that. But, maybe that's the case. And it's just time for Sporting Kansas City to look at themselves as an organization and say, okay, what needs to change so that we can go back to our winning ways? Because this is a team that has a tradition of winning, that has had a ton of success. They're one of the MLS's one of the most. They're one of the most successful clubs in the MLS, bar none. I mean, it's not a contest. Even when they were back as the Wizards, they were still wildly successful. And it's just it's tough to justify the ignorance, ineptitude, and inability to do something. You're turning into the Royals. Again, we'll talk about them later. In summary, Sporting Kansas City just needs to find a way out of this funk, and they have some tough decisions to make. So it's time to make those tough decisions. So moving on to the Kansas City Current, the women's soccer team of Kansas City. Uh, Challenge Cup has started. Kansas City Current know that they can win hardware. So I think they're capitalizing because they now have 3 wins in a row. And after firing their coach at the beginning of this week, it's pretty impressive. I mean, it's really impressive, honestly. Uh, to go from a winless season to winning 3 in a row in yeah, it's not the NWSL playoffs or anything like that, but it's still, a place where you can win hardware and make a statement. And right now, Kansas City Currents is as hot as they've been since that championship run. And it's all thanks to their interim coach. And I really think that overall, the current have a shot at turning their season around, especially if they can win the Challenge Cup. Um, it's it'll be tough, I think, but it's overall what we're looking at with this Kansas City Current team is a team that has that organizational know-how, unlike Sporting Kansas City. And I'm not saying Sporting Kansas City is a bad organization or anything like that. They're not. They wouldn't have won so much if they were. But when you see changes being made in one organization that need to be made in another and still haven't happened, that's cause for concern. This being said, it's not cause for concern for the Kansas City Current because they're the ones that are winning and they're the ones that made changes. And I think part of that is potentially some influence from the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you have to realize that, Brittany and Patrick Mahomes are the owners of this team. They might have had a say in who was coaching this team. Right now, Caroline, oh, I have it in my notes here, and it's a very Scandinavian name. I am going to disappoint my Scandinavian ancestors here, but Smallblom, SJO with the umlaut, BLOM without the umlaut. And I am so sorry, Caroline, if I butchered that, but I mean, he is he's killing it. I mean, 3 wins in a row is you know, nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's impressive. And what we see is major organizational change in action. This Kansas City Current franchise could very well end up being one of the best ran franchises in not only Kansas City, but in the entire United States because of the moves that they are making right now. What they said was no wins to start the season is completely unacceptable. We don't care that you made the championship last year. We're trying to make it again, and you're inhibiting that. So they fired Matt Potter, and I'll be danged. They started winning. I'm not saying like, well, Sporting Kansas City just needs to go and fire everybody, and they'll end up, like the Kansas City Current, they'll win 3 in a row. They'll, get to the playoffs this year, and blah 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 blah. That's not necessarily true. Firing a head coach could go one of two ways, especially if you're firing a guy like Peter Vermees, who has been an institution there. Yeah, I don't think firing their coach would be a good idea. But I digress. Kind of. Um, KC Current have shown that they're a well-ran organization with these 3 wins, and I hope it continues. As far as who will be next head coach for the Current, um, honestly, I fully believe that Coach Caroline will be the new head coach. I think she will because she has done a very, very nice job at at building this team back up from what has been rock bottom for them so far. 3 wins in a row. Hopefully it can continue. Hopefully, it can translate to a Challenge Cup win that will really gain the confidence back and gain the chemistry back into this team that, doesn't have a whole lot of chemistry right now because there's a lot of new players that, are making an impact, but just don't have that, chemistry yet. They don't have that, that, that connection yet to be a good soccer team. I mean, chemistry is one of the most important parts of soccer, and it's trusting your teammates and, being in the right place at the right time for your teammates. And overall, I think Coach Caroline knows that, and I think she's finally piecing these things together to make this current team the best it can be. So, congrats to the ladies on 3 wins in a row. I'm rooting for you to win this Challenge Cup and to get that done. And man, if they can win that, that will be huge, huge for their confidence and huge going into the rest of the season. So, root for the ladies. They're making a difference. Yeah, they're still, trying to climb out of last place. They're still, building that record back up to what it was, you know, in the 2022 season. But this team is finally getting fun to watch again. So go check them out. But as for a team that is not so fun to watch, the Kansas City Royals. I don't I don't have Bally Sports, so I really only catch the highlights and everything like that. I don't care to buy Bally Sports. I can't invest in it knowing that all I'm going to be watching is a cruddy baseball team play cruddy baseball. And frankly speaking, there's good reason they're in debt. Let's be honest here. There's good reason they're in debt. Bally Sports. And it ain't just because of the Royals. I'm not giving them any money. Leave it at that because I could go on and on and on about Bally Sports. This being said, the Royals have serviceable offense. They do. They do. It's not by any stretch that means good. It's incredibly inconsistent, and the numbers say otherwise. I'm really not helping my case here. Um, but it showed last night and kinda today too. Yeah, they lost, but it was 3-4. That the Royals can generate runs. I mean, they scored 11 last night against a team that has decent pitching in the Anaheim Angels or Los Angeles or whatever that's called. I don't know. Those teams out in California move all the time. But it, it's the defense of the Royals that is just putrid. I mean, when I look at when I look at the highlights from this Royals team, really the lowlights too, it is a lot of fielding errors. I mean, I haven't seen this much fielding errors since the 2009 Royals, who were incredibly bad in the fielding. And part of that is we just don't have the right personnel out there. We don't. The Royals don't have a left fielder. They played three catchers today. Melendez, Perez, and Fermin. Fermin being the one behind the plate. Melendez, I think, played left field. No, no, no. That was Olivares. That was Olivares. I forget where Melendez played. I think it was like second base or something. I don't know. But and then Salvi was DH. Because that makes plenty of sense. Um, I I can't watch this team. I simply can't. And that's coming from a lifelong Royals fan. This is coming from a guy that has watched this team since he was really, really little. I mean, there are pictures of me hanging out in the Royals press conference room and me at Royals games. Like half the pictures taken of me are at Royals games. So before you come at me for saying, "Oh, you're not a real fan. You're not a real fan." No, I am a real fan. I'm just tired. And all this talk about a new stadium and building a new stadium downtown and blah 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 using private dollars and public dollars to do this, do that, do the other thing. It's exhausting because frankly speaking, this is a team that absolutely does not deserve a new stadium because of organizational ineptitude, because of organizational ignorance, and because of the fact that John Sherman is a cheapskate. Yeah, I said it. John Sherman is a cheapskate. He's not willing to invest in prime players. He's driving the trade value of these guys into the ground. He's not allowing the new management to get up on their feet and remedy the mistakes of last year. Reminder, a lot of this new management came from a really successful organization in the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, on the field, successes. Off the field is a completely different story. Um, if you want more on that, go look it up. Because I am not explaining that can of worms. Just know that Tropicana Field is a dump and has stayed a dump for like 20 years now, and Ray's ownership has done nothing about it. So, and yet somehow, some way, they're still better than the Royals, which shows you something. But all this talk about a new stadium when there is just an outright refusal to take the steps to make this team better by putting money towards the team and the product on the field itself. Not off the field stuff, not, stadium reno and all that. Product on the field itself is reprehensible right now. And it is not in any way the fault of the new management. I honestly feel bad for the new management because they've got guys in this lineup that shouldn't be. I mean, yeah, Hunter Dozier's the biggest example, but he's not the only one. I mean, you got guys like Olivares that are playing left field and just can't do it. You've got Hunter Dozier that's playing first and third and can't do it. But not only that, he can't bat at all. He can't get on base. It, it is infuriating to watch this Royals team year in and year out make the same mistakes because it has been ever since 2015. It has been. And yeah, I know John Sherman wasn't the owner back then and blah blah blah. Well, David Glass set us up for failure. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. The failure was in management and that never got remedied. Firing Dayton Moore was the first step of what I thought was going to be the remedy for this Royals team. And it just wasn't. And John Sherman is to blame for it. Because, yeah, he bought the team, but he's done nothing with it. Yeah, he hired new management. Great. Good for him. Yeah, he fired Dayton Moore. Great. Good for him. But what money has he put toward the organization itself, not the stadium, not the things surrounding the organization and the on the field product itself? What money has he put toward it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, which is the downfall of most small market teams. It's what's happening with the Oakland A's right now. And if we're not careful, the Royals could be next. And if John Sherman actually gives, to what's about this city, he's going to put money towards this team. He's going to put money towards the players and getting these players developed. I mean, the Royals have a successful farm league system, but they're still one of the worst because they can't put money towards guys that are actually successful. They can't trade guys when they're at their most valuable. And that's how you survive as a small market team. It's unbelievable that this mismanagement has gone on for so long. And for the longest time everyone was blaming the small market and blah 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 blah. It's not that anymore. Because we have seen teams that have gotten out of that small market stigma. There are successful small market teams. And the Royals absolutely could have been one of them after 2015 if they had just stayed the course and built this team and focused money towards the product itself and not rested on their laurels. So, if you want a new stadium, you better put up or shut up, is all I got to say. So, that's it for the Royals. Let's get into some more positive news. Moving onward to Kansas City's most successful franchise, the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, Draft day is a week away, folks. Less than a week. Shoot, it's Sunday and draft day is Thursday. It's 4 days. I'm excited. Drove past Union Station, you know, yesterday, and they were building that. They were building the stage for the draft, and dude, it's huge. I didn't realize it was that big. I mean, it's awesome to just see the excitement building. And I went out with my parents today, and there were just a ton of people out. And the excitement's building, and people are going to be filing in from all over the country to come to this draft. And Kansas City is going to earn a ton of money for it. And I am more than excited to, fingers crossed, get out there for at least a couple hours and go see the draft, and experience this because it's really going to be once in a lifetime. In terms of who the Chiefs are going to draft, that is a tough question. They have options though, which is a big plus. They have a lot of options. My guess is, and I'll be putting out mock drafts throughout this entire week, by the way. My best guess right now, though, for the Chiefs is they're going to go wide receiver or tackle. Um, and there is a high possibility that they trade up. And whether it's to get a marquee tackle like Broderick Jones or Darnell Wright or Anton Harrison, even, or if they trade up to get a marquee wide receiver and say Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, um, I'm all for it. Go get the guy that you think can make the biggest difference. I mean, we saw, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, and all them working out with Patrick Mahomes down in Texas, which makes me think that they're going to go with wide receiver, that they trust this very, very deep wide receiver class. Um, and I love it personally. This is just Brett Veach at his finest. Yeah, he had the Clyde Edwards-Helaire gaff, but ever since then, he's been fantastic at drafting. And I mean, even the draft picks back in that 2018 draft were really good. Was it 2018? 2020. My apologies. I'm old. Sometimes I forget the years. But the 2020 draft is when we picked up Clyde. In 2019. 2019. Getting old. Getting real old. Um, but I really think the Chiefs go offense with this first round pick. I think there is a lot of depth at this edge class as well, but I think there's depth at this edge class deeper in the draft. Um, and then another question that a lot of people are asking is there going to be a tight end selected by the Chiefs in the earlier rounds? There's a lot of tight ends that will go off really quickly. And if the Chiefs want a Travis Kelsey replacement, it's probably not going to happen for a couple years. Don't worry. Travis Kelsey still has some good years in him, I'm sure. But if the Chiefs wanted to go out and get like a Dalton Kincaid, that wanted to, get a guy like, oh, what's his name? What's his name? Not Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going to be long off the draft board by then. If I think he's in the draft this year, I can't remember. But Dalton Kincaid is kind of the guy that's been projected to the Chiefs. That and Cameron Latu in the later rounds. Um, I don't see Latu really getting built into much of anything other than a blocking tight end. So I just think he's too slow to even be compared to Travis Kelsey. But I think Dalton Kincaid has that ability, that athletic ability that Travis Kelsey has. So I think he would make a great Travis Kelsey replacement if they were to select him in the earlier rounds. There's a lot of edges, like I said, that I like in the mid to late rounds that I think will fit in really well with this Chiefs defensive package. I think a lot of people are really overstressing the need for an edge um, for this Chiefs for the Chiefs. Um, I just don't see it. You picked up Charles Omenawu, who has some off the field issues, but he's a great pass rusher. Mike Dana is serviceable. George Karlaftis is going to develop into a really really good player. And then you've got the interior with Chris Jones, Tarek Wharton, um, and those guys. There's a lot of great interior linemen on the Chiefs as well. Um, and adding one more guy to that mix obviously wouldn't hurt, but I don't think you find them in the early rounds. I think that's a waste of a pick. I think you focus offensively with these earlier rounds. Um, that being said, I wouldn't be fuming if the Chiefs did use an early round pick on an edge rusher. But I really do think that they're going to go with wide receiver or tackle in this early rounds. So be on the lookout for that. Mock drafts will be coming out as well. If you want, you can send me your mock drafts. If you're just as excited about the NFL draft as I am, I can go over. I can give my thoughts and opinions on it. I was riding back with my rugby buddy JT, and we were kind of shooting it over the NFL draft and who he thinks is going to be selected. So shout out to JT Bergner, my boy, for doing some draft talk and kind of giving me some good insight. He knows quite a bit about sports as well, so much love to him. But speaking of rugby, we've got some Blues news to talk about. So let's talk about it. Alrighty, getting into some Blues news now. It is still the spring season, so it's still time to develop. Still, not the fall competitive seasons, not the summer season for sevens. But that doesn't mean it lacks excitement. That doesn't mean it lacks storylines. That doesn't mean it lacks the drama of blues rugby. There really isn't that much drama. It's a lot of fun to be had, really. But the Blues came down to Columbia, Missouri, home of the Missouri Tigers, and beat the brakes off of Columbia. We really took it to them and showed arguably one of the most complete games we've shown all season. A 50-5 W over the Columbia Outlaws was the final result, and the Blues showed great system. They showed put togetherness. We showed an overall tenacity and the ability to just be a great rugby team. And yeah, Columbia's a D. I think they're D3 squad. I think D2 or D3. I can't remember for the life of me. But they're still a solid team. They've got a lot of experience over there. They've got a lot of great dudes that can really fly and be great rugby players. But they were no match for the Blues, and we really took it to them. It was a great way to send Coach Derek Pearson off with a win. Um, Derek Pearson is retiring after this spring season to go take care of family matters. Um, and it was a bittersweet day um, down in Columbia. We sent him off with a great win, though. We sent him off with really nice gifts of a proclamation from the Missouri House of Representatives for his contributions to rugby, as well as a signed jersey as well. Just to serve as a reminder for his great time here. Again, I want to thank him personally for being my first ever interview for this blog. Um, you did great. We talked about rugby. We talked about the Chiefs Raiders rivalry, and we just had a great time. It was a great interview. Albeit it got cut a little short because Zoom sucks. Why is it a paid service? I don't get it. Um, I digress. But just wanted to give a real heartfelt thank you to Coach Derek Pearson for being a great influence on myself and many others. You were an incredible coach and a great man. And we'll be seeing you around. Obviously, you're not going to be a stranger, like you said. But many, many thanks to Mr. Derek Pearson, Coach Derek Pearson, for a great couple of years with our Blues boys. So, thank you. But what's next for the Kansas City Blues? Well, they or we will be uh, having a go at the Wichita Barbarians, the Barbarians of Wichita, down in Wichita. Um, on April 29th, I will be having a wedding for my good friend Patrick Spanier. Um, so I will not be able to attend, but that will be the last game of the spring season. It will be an exciting one too. Wichita is a very physical team. They are a team that can really get under your skin and be, kind of that thorn in your side. And they've got a bunch of guys with a lot of skill. I really do think that there's it's going to be a dogfight. And I think the Blues are fully prepared for it. Don't get me wrong. But let's be honest here. Every time I've played Wichita, I I end up with so many bruises and scars from those Wichita games. It's not even funny. Oh, they're a bunch of great dudes, but man, they play hard and they play physical. So best of luck to the guys that are going down to Wichita. But after that, we have Summer Sevens season. So if you are a former high school athlete or a former college athlete who has been missing the competitive environment, I would say seven season is the best for you to come out and play. Um, we have a lot of great times going to tournaments all across the Midwest and really all across the United States. Um, we, get real fit too. I mean, it's 7 seasons of grind, but it's worth it. I promise you. You will get into shape, and uh, big old me will be out there. I will not be playing on the competitive side, but I'll be playing the social side, and I'll be out there to get fit and to get better conditioned, for sure. And that's kind of part of what sevens is all about, but also just because I mean it's 7-on-7 rugby. It's a lot of fun. You get to play a lot. You get a lot of playing time, and you get to go to all these super cool tournaments. And rugby tournaments are the funnest part of rugby. And just having that culture around you, having a great time with your guys. Um, it's a very fraternal. It's a very competitive culture, and it's a very well put together community that shows a lot of love and support for one another. So, highly recommend if you are a former high school or college athlete that's looking for something to do. Um, and if you're looking for a potential sponsor for your business, the Kansas City Blues are also open to new sponsors. So if you want to be one of those sponsors, if you have an upstart business or a business that, is looking to earn a little bit of brand recognition, a little bit of customer reach, if you will, come talk to me. That's fundraising chair of the Kansas City Blues, and I'll get you set up. Promise you that. Oh, anyway, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining me on this great little journey here. Um, as far as the next ScorchCast, I hope it will be released on time. I do have a wedding that weekend. I'm not entirely sure what Sunday will entail with said wedding, but I will keep you guys updated. Articles should be released as scheduled this week. Um, and overall, just have a great week. It's supposed to, finally get, we kind of had it this last week, but then it, turned into 40 and sleeting and gross again this weekend. But it should be a nice week this week. Go out and do something. Go out and hang with friends. Touch grass. Do something with your lives and make it better every day. That's the Burn KC life advice for you. Have a great night. This has been the Burn KC signing off.